Yo, 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 what is good, ladies and gentlemen, all non-gender specifying individuals and anything else that may exist in between all of those? We would like to welcome you to another edition of KQK Presents Shoot the Messenger. We got a great show today for you guys. At least I hope it's a great show. I think it's a great show. I think the boys think it's a great show.
Oh, absolutely. Hasn't happened yet, but it's going to be great.
Exactly. So I'm gonna kick it over to my man. Matter of fact, before I do that, Keith, Quinn, how y'all doing today?
Can't complain. I'm alive. I'm well. I have been recently employed, so I thank the Lord every day for that. So
yes, congrats on the job. No, it's been rough out here.
Oh yeah,
to say the least.
Definitely, really big shout out to Q for going through some major life events this past week. Also getting a job, taking care of his family, all of the above. So
yeah, man, we
Q is
salute
moving
you.
Mountains, and wanted to give him a massive shout out. Just say we're helping.
If I could give you a round of applause, I would, but I don't have a keyboard, so I'm gonna just settle for this.
Appreciate you, bro.
Absolutely. Keaton, how about you? How you doing?
Hey, we're all right. My girlfriend got me some allergy medicine today, which is good, but she got me the drowsy kind, not the non-drowsy kind. So I had a little bit of wine with dinner, and I'm not gonna lie to you, I've been wanting to nap for the past 6 hours.
Man, now you gonna be like a Hitch when
Oh,
100%.
man.
So I had a cupcake and a big old glass of sweet tea, and we're hoping that sugar high is gonna last me a long time.
Hope you can power through it, man.
I was like, you know what? It's too late for caffeine. We're just gonna stick with sugar, and I'm hope for the best at this point.
this is his Jordan flu game.
Flu game. Hey, whatever you got in the tank, man, we got to get it.
Exactly.
Ooh, hell.
Don't worry, we got you though. But yeah, today, great show plan. So first of all, we're going to talk about some social media beefing between the fans of Russell Wilson and Future, because apparently being an involved dad is a bad thing. Then we're going to talk about Aisha Curry looking like a schnack on social media.
Stop.
Doja Cat loving to talk to white supremacists on video chat.
Also, it's a hard stop.
We're going to talk about the Snyder Cut. You know, Keaton's super excited to see that.
Let's go.
Kind of excited. Kyle is like, why? We'll go on to shoot. Oh, Biden. Yes.
Yeah,
apparently,
Biden. Yeah, Biden.
You ain't apparently, if you are trying to really choose between Trump and Joe Biden, you ain't black. And why did Joe Biden say this? Who knows? And then we'll be moving on to some more podcast related things. So that's kind of meta, talking about Joe Rogan and his newest deal inking up. And of course, the Call Her Daddy saga.
Yeah, man, that's a wild story right there.
It should be on television. It should be a documentary series about it eventually.
That would be painful. That's a TLC series in the making. That'd be painful. It's like My 800-Pound Life, except they're just basic bitches, and it's really weird.
He's not entirely wrong.
Yeah, so we'll definitely dive into all that. So first and foremost, apparently, maybe we should all just stop trying to be involved people in our families' lives, because the internet is blowing up about Russell Wilson in the future.
Absolutely. Honestly, being an involved stepdad is just the worst thing you could ever do. It's just terrible. I mean, like, why would you do that? Why would you take care of a kid who's not yours?
Yeah, they're not the future or anything.
Why?
No pun
intended. Not your kid?
Yeah. No. Whatever. So what? You love the mother. You shouldn't love the son too.
Yeah. He's just a burden. He's in the way.
Oh God.
I have no words.
For anybody with step parents,
I have literally nothing.
We hope you're not triggered by this sarcasm.
This is a joke.
This is America. Yeah.
Oh God.
But no, so basically, Baby Future, this was a few days ago. So Baby Future's birthday, his 6th birthday. Happy birthday to Baby Future, by the way.
Happy birthday.
So anyway, Future Hendrix, Toxic King, made a post on the Wizard. the pastor of the what is it, New Bank?
New Bankhead Church of Misogyny. Yes.
Exactly. He made a Twitter post and he said, "Happy birthday, Future. Love you forever, twin." Which is, very basic. I would hope he actually like called his son, but for Twitter, just want to,
Hey,
just want to,
6-year-old, here's a tweet. You'll see it in 10 years.
you just want to put it out for the masses. You know what I'm saying? It's all good, whatever. Um, at the same time, Russell Wilson also made a post, and his reads, "My inspiration, my best friend, full of love, joy, and grace. I thank Jesus for you and being able to lead and guide you. Your future is forever endless, and I pray you swim into every opportunity and obstacle in life with this much love and enthusiasm. Happy sixth B-Day, Future. Daddy loves you."
Happy birthday, little twin.
Now, obviously, we are not the only ones who could see the contrast in the tweets, right?
The strangest thing here is the dude with CTE is spitting like poetry,
yeah,
while
well,
the dude who just smokes pot and has 8 baby mamas is over here just like, "Happy birthday, little
why
future."
why you think the man got CTE?
He plays football.
He's a quarterback.
He's
That's totally
and
different.
he's a
100%
quarterback who don't really get
Uh-uh.
hit. I can't
He's a
imagine.
running quarterback. Of course he gets hit. He has
Gosh,
CTE. Every football
look,
player has
I'm
CTE.
not gonna.
No, we're not putting that energy out
I'm
there.
not putting that
Oh,
energy
I
out
will.
into the.
Has
I
I'm
will.
not putting.
My kids will
I'm
never
not.
touch a football.
That's
Listen,
your decision.
I know that you're a fan of Future and you want Future to win, but let's not make Sierra
No,
lose.
that's not true at all. I want good fathers to win.
Do you?
Do you?
Start pulling up clips from the last pod. Yeah.
So anyway,
There's a difference between an artist and a good father. Remember that. Always remember that.
good advice, Keith. Good advice.
Hope you never become an artist. That is how I feel about that.
Why do you think
Exactly.
I dropped out of music school?
Okay. All right.
Anyway,
Kyle, take it
moving
over,
past
please.
this, a Future Stan decided that he did not like this Russell Wilson tweet, and he retweeted it and responded with, "Don't nobody give a fuck about Russell Wilson cornball ass. All that extra shit gonna get dogs seen about. I don't like that." And then he's got the emoji with like the words across the face is red, like yeah, whatever. And so, and somebody responded to that. niggas, niggas said he finna send the goons to see Russ for providing a stable and loving home environment for a child.
I wonder how great of a fatherly relationship that man has.
That was a lot of people. A lot of people replied to like, man, I'd hate to see what your relationship with your dad must have been like.
Uh-huh.
Wow.
So
How long your dad been in prison? Let's talk.
Oh God.
Jesus. So as I'm sure you can imagine, there were a fair number of Future stands that agreed with homie, and there were many more just regular other Twitter users that had quite a bit of fun at their expense. And it's just like it's a like I don't understand like Future like stands, and I don't really include Keaton in this because I think he can separate Future the artist from Future
He's compartmentalizing.
person. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I think a lot of these people don't do that, or maybe they do that.
Compartmentalization is key to life. Remember that.
That's very true.
That's true.
Or it may be more accurate to say that these people just don't care. They agree with Future either way.
Damn, that's tough.
And so it's just,
That's crazy.
it's like my man is just being a good dad, and y'all upset.
But see, here's the thing. This isn't the first time that Russell Wilson comes out and he's just this super gushy, good guy when it comes to how he treats Sierra, how
This is who he
treats Baby
is.
Future. Like, that's just who he is as a person. So, yeah, I don't really see the people that are upset about this. I'm just like, where have you been? And how much hate do you have in your heart that you're just like, oh, this little baby's receiving love and care and support. I hate it. Get therapy, please.
Yeah, man. Yeah, do something. You gotta get that hate in your heart fixed.
Oh,
Yeah.
therapy. Good
But
times.
yeah, man. Future stands back at it again.
Yeah, man. No, it's tough. And it's back to like the corny versus hood dude like dichotomy
Dichotomy.
and argument. And it's just y'all let the baby enjoy having love and support in its life in his life
Exactly.
and move
Like,
on.
please.
This is why we need outside to open up. I was telling somebody the other day, I miss outside being open just so that people could go back to suppressing the dark sides of their personality.
What?
And I need outside. These type of tweets don't happen as much when people can go outside and do other things. But
well, before you move on, you know what else you can do once outside opens back up?
What's that?
Give her the Joe Budden 3 questions to success.
Joe Budden 3
What?
questions to success.
What is this?
First question: Do you know your dad?
Second question?
Can I be your dad?
Third question?
No, you know what? I messed that up. Second question is: Do you see your dad in me?
Oh.
And then the third question is: Can I be your dad?
Daddy!
And to leave. And leave like him.
Shout out to the JBP.
Shout out to the JBP boys
for this nasty content.
Daddy!
That still is probably to this day my favorite segment.
I'm disgusted. I'm absolutely disgusted.
It's
and Keaton,
horrible.
I'm gonna let you know you're gonna have a limit on the amount of times you can just yell "daddy" on this podcast.
Yeah, nah, you can't just like nah. Like
So
I get it.
I
It's
get
funny.
a card. I'm a hole punch it. It's like, all right, you've used 3 daddies. You got to stop it.
Yeah. Like it's funny to ask you if women call him daddy. Like it's fun to ask him that, but that's about the extent of where I go with that.
Yeah,
with
and
that
also
question.
to be fair, I do have an old man like spirit about me, so it kind of makes sense. And people are just like, yeah, you kind of remind me of like an older, like an uncle or something like that. Which,
I'm waiting for you to tell me yes, she calls me daddy. I'm waiting for that.
I was like, it just makes sense. I've got this older persona that people really understand, and sometimes they just call me daddy.
I'm waiting for the day you say yes to that question.
If it does happen, I don't even know how I will respond. So it will be a fun story for the pod for sure.
I would pay a woman just to like say, "Oh, daddy" to you at some point, and just see what happens.
It seems like a terrible waste of funds, but I definitely contribute.
And these are my friends.
I'll waste my money just to see someone have a weird time.
Absolutely.
That's fair. That's fair. Because I'm also so open to where I would just be like, you know what, guys? Story time. And you guys be like, yeah, we paid for it to happen, but we'll let them have it.
That girl
we
was a
won't
prostitute.
Oh, God. All right.
Moving
on. This is
Moving
why,
on.
see, I love it. Keaton's way of making passes is he does very good segues, or he says really awkward, awful things. It's like, all
Then
right,
we have to
segue.
move past that.
Aisha Curry was out here looking fine then on Instagram and on social media. So Steph Curry actually takes his picture. So shout out to him for always making the shot.
Hey, man, don't miss.
Don't miss.
Miss.
He doesn't. He doesn't.
He does it.
Captions it. Took me long enough, which is a great thirst trap caption. At Steph, and she is looking and the bikini shot probably in their backyard. You can tell she has not been succumbing to the laziness of quarantine at all.
She been working. She
has, and looking absolutely delicious. Which is funny because earlier in the year or possibly last year, she was on the interview with.
I think that was last year, actually.
Probably last year.
Hell, was that the year before last?
No, it was last year.
Was
Red
it
Table
last
Talk
year?
hasn't been around that long.
Okay.
But I will say that Aisha Curry was on Red Table Talk. This was last year. Yep.
Okay.
She was
last
on
year.
Red Table Talk with some of the other Curry women on there, and she was talking about how she hates the fact that Steph gets all this woman attention, but
I
she doesn't
remember
get
this.
any attention from guys.
Yeah, I remember
And then
this.
Twitter blew up with pictures of
Twitter was in
Steph's
an
mom
uproar.
instead of Aisha.
Yeah, Twitter was in an uproar about that.
Which I feel bad because there's certain nice people on the internet that I'm just like, she just stated her opinion. She didn't say she wanted to cheat on her mans, and y'all just want to attack. But neither here nor there. And looking at these pictures, I'm just like, you know what? Maybe you're just not around the right men, Aisha.
Yeah, that might be the thing.
Because basketball players, they're looking for a different type of woman. Go to Atlanta. Go to downtown Atlanta. Watch.
Yeah.
Like if
you have all the attention you want then.
Oh yeah. No problems. Let y'all get traded to like Houston or somewhere.
Look at Paul George's wife.
Paul George's wife?
Yeah.
The one he cheated on? No, that was Doc Rivers' daughter. I don't think they got married, actually.
Okay. No.
It's actually funny because I wonder how that conversation went when he signed with the Clippers. If they talked about that.
Talked about what?
Him cheating on his daughter.
Paul George cheated on Doc Rivers' daughter with a stripper, I believe. He got her pregnant.
And Doc is the coach of the Clippers.
Ooh.
I may need to fact check that story. I know he cheated on her. I don't remember.
No. You know what happened? Definitely the president and CEO and the higher leadership of the Clippers walked into Doc Rivers' office and be like, shut your bitch ass up. You don't say damn thing. We gonna get Paul George here and you ain't gonna do nothing about it. I don't give a fuck about your daughter.
You know what? Here's the thing. Probably the GM or somebody came in and just had like a nice conversation, like, hey, you BS. And then, hey, I heard about the affair with your daughter and Paul George. How are you holding up? How do you feel about that?
Yeah, that's
right?
Pretty much,
trying to hold a therapy session.
That's the corporate way of doing it.
And then, once it got closer to the day, and if it felt like Doc Rivers wasn't feeling right, they're like, listen here.
Like, hey, listen,
you like your job?
Yeah.
Because he's coming. Deal with it.
He's here.
We're trying to win a chip. Get out of your feelings.
If you all need to fight in the parking lot real quick, that's fine. Just make sure it's not on camera. Like, handle it, though.
Like, matter of fact, do it in the gym. Like, we'll make sure ain't no media there. We'll make a ring with all the players, and y'all duke it out.
Yeah. So, yeah, Aisha Curry.
Paul George bitch ass gonna get his ass beat.
Yeah, Paul George don't strike me as the type of dude that can fight.
No, Paul George is a bitch.
I'm not gonna say all that because he's
I ain't gonna say all that.
A very athletic, 6+ tall individual, and I don't know him like that.
I ain't gonna say all that. He don't look like the type of dude that's gotten into a ton of fights. That's not to say that he hasn't. He just don't look like it.
Again,
he's just that like quiet dude that just kind of chills in the back.
Yeah, but you don't want to mess with that dude.
Yeah, you don't want to mess with that dude. He crazy.
There's a 50-50 chance they're quiet because they're so secure and they're ready for the smoke, or they're quiet because they don't want the smoke.
No, that's Kawhi. That's the difference.
That or they got a gun and they're going to shoot up the school.
Yikes. All right, and on that one,
segue.
Also, these segues are gross. Moving on to, this is not a great thing to transition to. Doja Cat.
Oh, I forgot that was.
Speaking of people who shoot up schools.
Whoa! Oh wow! I can't transition on that one either. So Doja Cat is under fire. People are calling her racist. They want to cancel her again. Doja Cat's. Everyone's trying to cancel Doja Cat for some given reason, probably once a year.
Yeah, it seems like I've seen the hashtag Doja Cat is over or cat canceled like trend at least once every couple months.
Yeah, and apparently Moo is too strong. It just keeps her going. So, yes, if you don't know her, Doja Cat.
Who is cancel culture really canceled?
No one yet.
R. Kelly? For good reason?
No. We cannot blame that on cancel culture. It took us, over 2 decades?
Yeah, I wouldn't put that on
cancel. That was 2 decades of work.
Yeah. Like, matter of fact, Twitter a lot of people tried not to cancel him.
That's a good point.
Like they did the opposite.
That's a very good point.
They did their best to not cancel him until there was like
that was the Surviving R. Kelly documentary. That is the one that put the nail in the coffin.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Not cancel culture.
I think a couple actors. I think I think cancel culture might have. Oh,
Eh,
Jesse Smollett.
Juicy Smouye.
again, I
Shout out
don't
to Dave
know if that
Chappelle.
was. I
Juicy.
don't know if Juicy
Juicy.
Smoulier, Juicy Smoulier. I gotta, I gotta watch that special again.
Oh
I
yeah.
don't, I don't know that
No.
cancel culture really canceled him. Like he canceled himself with that stupid story.
I think that me providing you with wrong answers constantly is just another proven fact that cancel culture really isn't doing much.
Yeah, like
Actually. No, the fans, because the thing with Jussie Smollett was it wasn't that the fans canceled him. It's just
He
that any
canceled
network.
himself.
Well, yeah, I mean, who's gonna want to hire the guy that
yeah,
has a staged hate crime in the middle of the like a cold season in Chicago?
yeah. And then when they did a concert like a couple days later,
And
talking
he
about
called,
that, like please support me.
and then
Yeah.
Good Morning America interviews. No, that's just there's no network
Yeah, like
would be able to redeem themselves from that.
yeah, like cancel culture didn't do that. He did all that to himself.
Right.
Facts.
Yeah,
But
I can't really think of anybody cancel culture is really canceled.
well,
Yeah.
I'll tell you one who hasn't, Doja Cat.
Yeah, Doja Cat.
So there's a lot of videos circulating online, some older videos, but it's her being in like the part of the alt-right community group chats, video chats, and it's her telling them like, "Oh, smash me, nigger," with the hard R,
It's
and
very disturbing.
a bunch of other disturbing, salacious content.
Yeah, it's very
So
disturbing.
It's
I
not a good thing like the movie Black Klansman. It's not that type of stuff. It's very much on the other type of very bad stuff.
I
it's
don't
not
even.
ironic.
Yeah, no, there's no. I don't even really know how to describe it. Like I watched one of the videos because like I had to. I wish I hadn't
Don't.
because
Yeah,
I
please
can't
just don't.
unsee that. It's just, yeah, I don't know how to describe it other than very disturbing.
If there's anybody cancel culture should cancel, I think it's her at this point.
Here's the thing. I don't that because the thing is a lot of the stuff that she has done where cancel culture has woken up to her, it's not even things that I think are there's the ethics of it might be bad, but it's not horrendously. Like this is just really weird. Right? This in particular, she's half black, so at the end of the day, like she can use the word if she so chooses. But
Throw it around
yes,
like a bunch of people that actually want to use that word for the wrong reasons.
but the person who also became popular off of making the song Moo, right? Like that irreverence towards cultural lines and boundaries is sort of a part of who she is.
Yeah, I
I mean,
mean,
I feel
hasn't she
like
kind of? Nah, go ahead, Keaton.
I was just gonna say that in of itself means that she's not worth my time personally. If you don't hold like a reverence for, I don't know. I just think it's disgusting that someone gets famous off of topics such as these.
Yeah,
But
I mean, Q, like you've kind of like told me some stories about kind of like she's never really like I think she's talked openly about not really being, at least as far as relationships, not being into black men. Like I think that's something that's kind of been a recurring theme with her.
Yes, I don't think she's ever said publicly like, "Yes, I don't mess with black men," but
It's
all
been
the
something
men that
that's kind of come up. Like if you follow the pattern, it's kind of been something that's come up. And I think
absolutely.
this is maybe a bit of a more insight into exactly where that may come from.
Mm,
Maybe. I think because I know, like you said, a lot of people were, doing like just whole like cancel her and get her out of here. But I think there were other people. I think Ebro made a post talking about how he doesn't think that she, like, growing up with a white mom, she was never taught kind of how to love herself as a black person.
mm.
mm,
It sounds like she maybe has some issues with that. It's not an excuse, obviously. It's just kind of trying to understand where it may come from. But I don't know enough about her to say that one way or another.
I will say this, at least from my understanding, and I have listened to all of Doja Cat's music as well. So I have gone to one of her concerts. I don't think she's ever been a part of the Black girl magic movement, if that makes sense. I don't see a lot of Black women being like, yeah, that's my girl, whatever, or talking about
Mm-hmm.
her in the same way they talk about maybe a Megan Thee Stallion, as an
Mm-hmm.
example. Yeah, I've never seen her in that light. I do think the heritage thing is an interesting angle to take there. I mean, all of us as Black people across the world, as part of the diaspora, we all have to kind of figure out where we put our Blackness and how we prioritize it. And that gets way more
Mm-hmm.
complicated, excuse me, when you start to be biracial, for example, because you do have more than one culture that you're trying to understand that's a part of you. So maybe that is, but yeah, it was just really, it wasn't anything where I was like, wow, that's awful. It was just like, that's really
Yeah, I didn't.
strange.
Yeah, like you said, I didn't get like the awful feeling so much as I got the kind of like there's something wrong with her in a sense, kind of like a concern for where her mental is.
Yeah.
It wasn't so much and I guess it's probably part of the difference between me and a lot of the like cancel culture people is that I think cancel culture tries to basically forget about the problem rather than attempting to address the problem and fix it
Yes.
in a lot of ways. So that's where I often differ from like the cancel culture society.
Yeah.
I think we have a responsibility to try and fix these issues rather than just say, because essentially by saying, just get out of here, it's kind of forget. And if it's not in my line of sight, then it didn't happen, which is oftentimes, not to generalize, but it's a very white, like a lot of like racist, a lot of the opinions you see about racism from non-minority people, non-black people, basically comes down to if I can't personally see it, if it doesn't personally affect me,
Mm.
then it's not happening. And I think cancel culture has some parallels to that. And obviously I don't agree with that. So
I don't, because, I think it's interesting. The last time I remember this conversation happening, it was about Doja Cat using the F word when talking about people that are gay, right? So she
mm-hmm.
did that on social media at one point. And she says she knows people that have used the word, and she doesn't like the fact that she doesn't like the fact that she can offend people by using the word, as in she feels bad about that. But she has used the word, and she's been around people who have used it before, and using the word while she's saying this. And people were talking about canceling her. And that, to me, I was like, okay, I can understand that. But I think back to me growing up, and being around people in the early 2000s, that wasn't necessarily something that was frowned upon. It's just,
It wasn't, we didn't quite understand kind of the derogatory nature around it, or it wasn't as pronounced to us. It was much more of a societal norm to
right.
use that word. Um,
Right. And I think that's
yeah.
where I come at with this Doja Cat situation. It's like you said, there's a very big divide between the people that want to cancel everything, right? And they think, oh, you've made these type of trespasses against us based off of oftentimes like really deep readings into
Mm-hmm.
sociology and race and gender, versus the average consumer who couldn't care less. And so these academics want to cancel the person, and regular society is just not that
Doesn't
concerned.
care.
Within 5 days, they're over it.
Yeah.
So it's whatever. She'll be fine. But
Yeah, I don't anticipate this. Like she gonna drop a song in like a month or two, and people will forget that this ever happened. Matter of fact, she might go on Red Table Talk with Jada.
if she does, that would be the strangest thing of all time.
you that's kind of like the what is that, the principal's office for the
Yeah.
viewing community.
For the Black community, most certainly. Absolutely.
Like just go in there and apologize, and you'll be fine.
Works for T.I. So.
And Snoop.
Oh, and Snoop. I forgot about Snoop with the Gelking stuff.
Boy,
Yeah.
she had Snoop looking like a 12-year-old kid.
Listen, that's power right there.
It is.
Power.
It is.
But yeah, all right, cool. So that's Doja Cat. We can get off of that trash. Keaton, you've been quiet, but I know you're about to get loud right now. It has happened, ladies and gentlemen. If you're unfamiliar, there's the last Justice League film, which was critically panned, also not very financially successful. But
good
there
reason.
were
Yeah, fuck that movie.
For good reason.
but there was oftentimes a lot of chatter about the quote unquote Snyder cut.
Release
Zack
the Snyder cut.
the original director of the
It's-
film
Yeah.
and of the longer series that was supposed to happen. So
The
he
3
was
to
supposed
5 movie series that was supposed to come out
yes.
following the
And
Injustice timeline, the true good Justice League timeline.
And yes, after years upon years of hashtag release the Snyder
Years
cuts,
upon years.
Yes.
Didn't Justice League come out in like 2016?
That's years, man. Multiple. It's been
like
4
it's
years.
4 years. It's not
That
years
is
Okay.
upon
years
years.
stacking on years.
It's 4
Stacking.
years.
first of all, I will correct. It came out in the release date was in March. That can't be right. This says the release date was March 13th of 2018.
That might be right.
No,
actually.
that's not right.
That's not right at all. Maybe that's like the DVD release. 2017. Let's go with 2017. Yes, 2017 was the year.
So years upon years upon years. 3 years.
1, 2, 3. Stack them up, baby. Release
And
the Snyder
technically-
cut.
It came out in November 17th in the U.S., so it's more like 2.
2
A couple of years would be accurate.
years
Don't matter.
upon years.
Don't matter.
I
Don't matter.
will say
We'll let
that
you have it, Keaton. We'll let you
That
have
movie
it.
was
The
so
reason-
bad. It made me think it was 20
felt
years.
It felt like years upon years.
You know what made me feel like years upon years? Seeing release the Snyder cut for over 2 years straight as a hashtag.
That
and
felt
it
like
lived
years
on.
upon years.
You know what?
So,
Guess
Keaton,
what happened?
please.
Guess what happened?
Oh,
The floor
God.
is yours. The floor is
Yeah,
yours.
it's all yours. I just gave the high level. You can go deep into the weeds about the Snyder cut.
All
I'm
right.
gonna sip my wine.
So the DC universe, including the board of directors for anything that has come out in the DC universe, has been fucking garbage in the last few years. I will say DC animated content is prime. I have not watched the most recent Apocalypse movie that came out.
Dark Apocalypse, I think. Justice League
Correct.
Dark
Justice League
Apocalypse.
Dark Apocalypse. Have not watched that one, but it's on the bucket list. So, to preface, Justice League, one of my favorite things, very close to my heart. Huge, like superhero, Batman, Martian Manhunter, Green Lantern, all that stuff. Big fan. So, during the filming of Justice League, the original one that came out in 2017, Zack Snyder had to step away. I believe it for his son's suicide. Obviously, 100% understandable. Like if he had not stepped away, that would have been like a little bit of a red flag that he was like a little bit too committed to his work. But I'm not gonna talk about that. Completely understandable that he stepped away. The studio that was backed by the board of directors decided to, hey, Marvel's making all these cool movies with like this CGI and these like stupid jokes and like making it like happy-go-lucky, and let's try to just imitate Marvel. So they made the worst fucking movie of all time, and it was heartbreaking for any actual DC fan to watch. It was essentially the decline of Batfleck. He essentially stepped away after that because he was like, wow, this shit sucks. I don't want to do this anymore. And after that, everyone was like, Aquaman might be trash. And everyone was like, wow, Superwoman just took an L. So, release the Snyder Cut has been this thing everyone's like, because the Snyder Cut was essentially going to be not the movie you saw, not that ending. Darkseid was going to pop up. There was going to be different type of fighting. GL was going to pop up in this movie, Green Lantern.
Martian Manhunter as well.
Exactly. And Martian Manhunter is
When Superman supposed to have the black suit on.
Correct. Correct. Yes. So, and he was supposed to have some facial hair too. So all that shit that they CGI'd out for no reason, he was supposed to have it. Like just leave the facial hair on there. You know, all that good stuff. So currently what happened, HBO Max, which is the new streaming service offered by HBO, shout out to them, by the way, now has picked up where essentially DC left off. and is going to be releasing the Snyder Cut in 2021. There will not be any reshoots for this, so they're not bringing the gang back together to reshoot the movie. Supposedly, they have enough content that they're only going to do post-production, so audio-visual post-production, whatever that entails. So, might have most of the same scenes, might have most of the same content, etc. However, the fact that he gets to do kind of whatever he wants with this movie and that the actual Snyder Cut is coming out is going to be great. And the reason why it's going to be great is because the nightmare scene is going to be like the essential part of this movie. So the nightmare scene is when the Flash essentially moves through time, talks to Batfleck and says, "Hey, you were right about Superman. The key is Lois. You're right about Superman. The key is Lois, and you have to be careful. Be careful." In that world, the Joker kills Lois, and Lois is pregnant with Clark's son. What happens is Superman, Clark Kent, kind of hops off the rails and decides, "Hey, you know what? Fuck this world. I'm going to create a world that is disciplined, organized, and no crime will ever exist." And that's like Batman's fear all along. It's like the fear of it's like the ultimate fear, right? And kind of what happens also with the nightmare sequence also, Darkseid kind of took control and with Superman destroyed the planet. So it's also this kind of timeline. So the Injustice timeline is more so Superman losing it, and then the dark future that's pointed at here is where Darkseid takes control of Superman and essentially destroys the planet. So with this concept, that dream sequence where Batman's in the black suit, he's got the tan desert looking outfit, the trench coat, and you can see kind of in his dream all the flying insect looking creatures, parademons. In that sequence, in that world, Darkseid has taken control of Superman, and Superman has destroyed the Earth, and now Darkseid rules. So looking forward to hopefully in this new sequence, some Green Lantern action, some more action with some time travel stuff, some more action with Star Labs and the Atom. Hopefully that pops up. That's supposedly something that could pop up there. Lex was supposed to be in it more as well. I'd really like to see Jesse Eisenberg's character because honestly, Mark Zuckerberg could be a great fucking Lex Luthor. So fuck you, Mark Zuckerberg. And then hopefully like Darkseid makes a big arrival, and it's kind of really seen that the fight that they had in the original one, the bullshit that it was, Steppenwolf being a fucking little bitch, really kind of shows how Steppenwolf was controlled by Darkseid. So hopefully that actually pops up. I just rambled for like 10 minutes, so I'm fucking sorry, but I love
it's all good. We said the floor was yours,
so I'm very excited for this. Listen, if it's garbage, it's fine. They're not doing reshoots. Like, the floor cannot be any lower at this point, honestly. Thank you, board of directors, for DC, all of DC Entertainment, because you fucked yourself. Congratulations, you played yourself. And if it's garbage, and I hear it's garbage on Twitter, I will not go purchase the movie. I'll wait till I can get it online.
The politically correct answer would be, I'll wait till it's on FX.
Exactly.
The non-incriminating
online.
Yeah.
Online.
Yeah. Stream it legally. Yeah. Well, I mean, I think
that movie is gonna suck.
The next one,
Justice League. I don't think it will suck. So
it can't get any worse. How does it get worse?
So context, this is a very similar thing that happened with Blade Runner, except I don't know if Blade Runner did reshoots. I think they might have done research shoots for that. But as I have discussed before, Blade Runner, the original version, people hated it. The director and the studio had gotten into some beef there. Eventually, they pieced together the director, writer's original vision for it. And it wasn't like as clean as it could have been, but it got you a good idea of what the original intent of it was. It became a cult classic. Then they kind of refilmed everything with those changes, and that's the Blade Runner that we know of today. So there's that. So it's basically the same thing, like the Blade Runner vibe there. But yeah, And two, I think it makes more sense if it's animated. My personal take on that is just you can do the live action without reshoots, but I just don't think that makes sense.
Yeah, that's the thing. With no reshoots, I just don't see how the movie is going to change that much
They
unless
probably
they
shot
just
so
have
much.
like a ton of like footage that was supposed to be in the Snyder cut
Mhm.
and it just got taken out. Unless there's like a ton of footage of that, and there's obviously no way for us to really know that. I don't see how the movie really changes that much.
So, interesting fact. Zack Snyder, since the Snyder Cut stuff has really been picking up steam, has been releasing content slowly but surely about different scenes that they had filmed that they didn't quite finish, different shots that they had taken, different characters that would appear, concept art, all that stuff.
I
So there's
forgot about
footage.
that. Yeah.
Jason Momoa has
Okay.
also said that there is more footage out there as well, and there's other
Also,
people. But
shout out to Jason Momoa. You are the fucking man. I like as soon as they talked about the Snyder Cut being released, he was on his Instagram like, "We did it! Yeah, it's coming, baby!" And I was like, "I fucking love you. You're the man."
Yeah, shout out to Jason Momoa.
he's cool. I agree. We have Joe
Biden.
Biden, Uncle Joe. He was on an
Don't
interview
call that
with
man Uncle Joe.
Uncle
I'm a-
Joe. That's why I
Don't
call him all the time.
No.
I'm a
I call him
citizen
Uncle
now.
Joe. But Joe Biden, vice president to President Barack Obama, current nominee for the Democratic Party for president now. He was on an interview with Charlemagne the God, influencer, radio host, author, a lot of different things, kind of known as a jerk, but it is what it is. But Joe Biden recently said, "Hey, if you're having a hard time choosing between me and Donald Trump for president, then you ain't black." And Charlemagne let that go, which is interesting. He's normally way more outspoken than that. And Joe Biden has apologized for his remarks.
Charlemagne did have a quick comeback to that, but it wasn't like his normal self.
I mean, I don't know. My response would have been like, "What do you mean by that, Joe?"
The data producer was like, "Y'all got to get off the phone."
That's true.
Like
They were
3
rushing
times
off.
in the fucking interview. It was really annoying.
Yeah, no. Towards the end, they were definitely like, yeah, they have other interviews and stuff to do, which is, understandable. Tight schedules and things. But yes, he has apologized for saying these remarks. But yeah, just so y'all know, if you're not voting for Joe Biden, you ain't black.
You ain't black.
So
This is the thing, right? I have definitely heard other black people say that. This is the thing, though.
To me,
Joe Biden. Yes, said it. I've said it, honestly, probably.
No, you definitely have said it to people before. You ain't black, yeah.
Thing is, Joe Biden can't exactly get that one off.
No.
Like, Joe Biden, of all people, is not the dude that can get that. He can't get that one off.
I
The
mean, like,
closest one would be Eminem. He's the closest one that he could say that, and like maybe people be like, yeah, he's kind of right. But that's a maybe. Definitely not Joe Biden. What do you think, Eden?
no, I was saying,
no.
I understand the good intent of what he was saying. It's just like another Joe, like, oh no, Joe said it. Oh no. I feel like Joe was just like trying to get like some like last second clip in. He's like, just remember, kids, don't do drugs. And it was like, cut the mic, quick, cut it off.
Just remember, kids, you ain't black.
Just remember, kids, if you don't vote for me, you ain't black. Now on to these messages. Yeah, no, that was.
This message is sponsored by Joe Biden.
Here's the thing, too, though. He says, yo, if you don't vote for me, you ain't black. And again, I've definitely heard people tell me that multiple times about many of my habits because I'm a bougie Negro. And so people always question my blackness at every turn. But what young black person gassed this man up at one of his rallies and told him, yo, Joe, if they don't vote for you, man, they ain't black, man. Because you know Yeah. There's no way he thought of that on his own. That is what is that called? That is American
Enabling?
Negro vernacular. That
Oh.
is Ebonics. That is
Ebonics.
deep in the Ebonics vocabulary right there.
Shout out to
There's-
Dr. Umar Johnson.
Stop.
We gotta stop shouting out Dr.
Okay, all right, hold up. Go to Twitter right now. If you're listening to this podcast, go to Twitter right now and follow. It's a Dr. Umar Johnson.
No
It's like
context,
a
Dr.
weird. It's
Umar.
like a weird offshoot of him. It's
No
called
context, Dr. Umar Johnson.
That is exactly correct. At no context, Dr. Umar Johnson.
Oh
Just
my God.
follow it, and you'll get to know Dr.
I
Umar
ain't gonna lie.
Johnson.
It is one of the funniest Twitter handles that I follow. It's right up there with Stephen A. Smith's burner
Stephen
account.
A. Smith's burner. He don't miss. The man
don't
don't miss.
Oh God. All right. And we just plugged some more content there for you all to absorb. But yeah, Joe Biden wilding, per usual,
Yeah, Joe out here wilding.
talking
It
without
is
thinking
what
as
it
he does.
is.
It is what it is. Sorry, no presidential candidate should ever say it is what it is. That should not.
I never want to hear that.
I don't want that in your press release.
No.
No, imagine you're on the debate stage, and someone goes, "Sir, so based upon your voting in 1986, you voted for the like Americans Against Drugs Act or something, and say that act just so happened to incarcerate an additional 50,000 people. Be like, how do you feel about that? It is what it is." The voting numbers would go like, nah. Pew!
No, you don't. In 2020, you don't know that because high key.
That's true. In 2020, that might make it go up.
Bro. I mean, I'm not, no disrespect, but President Donald Trump literally had a whole conversation when he said he could grab women by their genitals. He was just like, locker room talk.
And he became president.
And now he's out golfing.
Shout out to him. He gets his golf swinging. He must, if he doesn't have an amazing golf swing by now, he just
Come
needs to give that
on,
up.
be honest. You know he trash.
If every time America's in a crisis, you're golfing, I'm sorry, you should be really good at golf by now.
FDT.
What's that?
Fuck Donald Trump.
All right. And with those messages, we'll be moving on to the second half of the pod today.
Pause.
Take
Pause.
a quick break. Take a quick break before we do that.
Yeah, so we're going to take a quick break. Yeah, we're going to take a quick break.
Welcome back. We're about to finish out the podcast. We got podcast about podcast stuff to talk about.
Riveting.
Riveting. Meta humor. Shout out to Community. Great TV show. So well, let's get right to it. Joe Rogan.
Yeah, the homie
Bringing
Joe.
in the bag.
Yeah, no, when we talk about the finessing the bag, I mean, if you all are not familiar with the podcast world, we listen to, if you listen to us for any extent of time and don't know we're fans of the Joe Budden podcast, where are you? What have you been doing? Are you really listening? Honestly, just download it so that we can get more views. But that's neither here nor there. Joe Budden, sorry, I always get really flustered with Joe Budden versus Joe Biden, and so it's caused some really awkward conversations.
I'm sure.
But Joe Budden had inked a really great deal with Spotify, and Joe Rogan is doing even better. So
yeah, man.
Yeah. Go ahead.
No, it's just obviously it's a great deal for him. It's a multi-year deal. No specificity on that, but according to the Wall Street Journal, it's supposed to be worth about $100 million. I personally think it's probably a lot more than that. I don't think we're ever gonna get I don't know that we're ever gonna get the exact details about how much he's actually getting paid for that. Just because of him being who he is, those details are probably never gonna come out. And so it's gonna be on Spotify in September exclusively from that point on, I believe.
Yeah.
And
RIP me streaming YouTube at work in incognito mode with Joe Rogan in the background.
Stop incriminating yourself,
Yeah, no.
please.
You really shouldn't be saying that,
I'm
but
pretty sure everybody does that though, honestly.
who cares?
Also,
Anyway, I think an interesting thing is it's supposed to be audio and video. So like apparently
on
Spotify is
Spotify,
apparently Spotify is getting into, video now.
stepping up the game. I like
which
it.
is
Pay your fucking
interesting.
artists more.
Yeah. I think in another interesting note.
Q's
No,
face
you're
kind
right.
of says it all.
And
We're just
Kyle's
gonna
reaction is literally
moving.
like, there's like a homeless person on the street and you just like walk over them. That's essentially what Kyle just did with that whole thing. Just like, all right, and I'm gonna continue with
Just gonna
describing what's
keep
happening.
moving.
Yeah.
And I think a key thing to note is that it's a licensing deal. So Spotify has no creative control over anything that he does. It's going to be the same Joe Rogan podcast that he's been doing on YouTube forever. It's just
Which is
going to be
good.
on Spotify
Which is
now.
good.
And a quote I can give
Ish.
just so that people can kind of understand like kind of like the money behind this is that Joe Rogan basically got paid the equivalent value of over 26 billion with a B streams for a podcast license.
Yeah.
And I think I also read that for an artist to equivalent that, it has to be like 23 billion streams, somewhere around that same number. So
Isn't that like Drake level?
probably, if it's not, it's somewhere close to it, I would have to imagine.
I'm thinking if you combine all of Drake's music, not just like his top hits, but I'm like, I don't know. I have no idea. I was not a
Yeah,
math major.
I can't speak on that because I don't really know like how to equate those two worlds, and I don't know enough about Joe Rogan's numbers, even though I know he does numbers.
Oh, he racks in
Like
them.
I know he does
Yeah.
numbers, obviously. Like I don't know the specifics of that, but the man got the bag for sure.
Yeah, shout out to Joe Rogan. And that's not even his that's like one of his hustles. It's not even his like he still does the UFC thing.
Yeah, like he does a ton of this other stuff, doesn't he?
Oh yeah. He has sponsorships. He like still works out. He like don't quote me on this ever, but I think he's like co-invested in a couple gyms actually.
Mm-hmm.
That
And
wouldn't surprise me.
hadn't Fear Factor come back for like a couple seasons, and they brought him back for that?
Oh,
I'm
I don't
pretty
know.
sure that might have been a while ago. That might
Oh,
have
did
been
they
a
get
while
rid of
ago.
Ludacris?
This might have been like a really long time ago. I might
have no
be
idea.
kind
I
of
don't know about
outdated
that.
on that information, so don't quote me on that. But yeah, man, it says 100 mil, and like I said, I'm positive it's much more than that. Like
Even
For
if
his
it's
total? Yeah.
even if it's not, even if they had him working for, let's say the multi-year deal was like 10 years, right? And it's 100, like you had said how much? 100 mil, yeah?
100
Yeah.
mil according to Wall Street Journal.
Okay. So even on the low end, he's working for 10 years for 100 million. He's getting 10 million a year.
Yeah. And the thing is, I can guarantee you, it's not this multi-year contract is probably not longer than like 5. Just because he can like afford to say, yeah, 3, 4, 5 years, y'all get it, and then I'll shop my services again for an even higher number.
And just Keaton, off of your point talking about Drake streams, Drake has 28 billion streams over the past 10 years. That was reported December 3rd on Fast Company. So
Spotify is paying out.
yeah,
they're not blue balling anybody.
He's getting the bag, for sure. I think something I read that was kind of interesting is how that's going to affect their kind of how they pay artists for their streams, and how that might affect that, because just because like you have a big money pile going, like you've basically made Joe Rogan the biggest artist, quote unquote, on your platform.
That's I read that as well. Like
yeah.
he's now the biggest podcaster in the world. And
I mean, wasn't he kind of that before he even did this deal?
I definitely think so, honestly. Like he's always pushed crazy content because of the people that he puts on his podcast. Like
yeah,
he's interviewed Elon Musk twice. Elon Musk don't make time for nobody. I mean, given like some of the information that Elon puts out,
It's a
especially
little.
little hokey, especially involving the Neuralink stuff. So don't take that with a grain of salt.
But I'm also
Yeah.
saying, Joe Rogan will literally have podcasters will have guests like he'll have like Jamie Foxx or like Robert Downey Jr. He'll have like Ben Shapiro one day. He'll have one guy that like only eats meat, like eats raw meat for diets and stuff. Like
Yeah.
the versatility is nuts, and it's not one of those interviews where you can clearly see somebody just Googled someone's name for 5 minutes and then
Yeah,
decides to
he
have an
has like
interview.
sitting U.S. representatives, like people in Congress, come on the show. That's crazy. Like he had Bernie on the show. Like it's
He
yeah, he doesn't. It's no mess.
he's the king of podcast content for sure.
Yeah, and for him to be just the only host too on his own podcast.
Yeah, nah, carrying your own podcast by yourself is an achievement, and to do it as big as he has is an obviously even bigger achievement. So
Yeah.
Yeah,
Shout out to you, Joe.
yeah.
yeah, man. I hope I could get a fraction of that. Yes.
I was about to say
1%. 1%, baby.
Literally 1% would be doing me good.
Yeah.
This current deal.
Yeah.
Yeah, a mill.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It'd be doing me quite a bit of
Point
good.
1%, and I would not complain any.
Because like I said, I guarantee you he's getting more than 100 mil that they're reporting.
For all the stuff that they're doing. Yeah.
I guarantee it.
I
I think
mean,
on Joe Budden, I think Joe Budden put out something. He thought it might be closer to like 300 mil.
that's crazy. And then that's not even factoring in merchandising sales and
That's literally everything else that he like. It's literally just what Spotify is giving him is that before you count any of the other money that he has coming in from all his other revenue streams. So
wow. So now we have a new goal.
Wow.
yeah,
Well, I think part of that is like the guests you bring in.
the guests are definitely a big part
Yeah.
of that. It's a lot different. I think obviously since we're talking about like a Spotify deal, we love the JBP so much. It's a very different style of podcast because Joe Budden, it's him, Rory, Maul, and Parks, and all the other characters obviously, and it's for the most part it's just them. Occasionally, they'll call people. There might be somebody that stops by, but it's for the most part it's just them. And there's a different kind of podcast. There's different things you have to do in order to make it interesting. You can't just say like, we'll have Elon Musk on and like instantly get however many people tuning in just to hear, what you're going to talk about. It's definitely it's a different field to try and survive in, but he's the best at it. So
Yeah. No, congratulations to him for sure.
yeah, shout
So
out.
now we start off with the best. We're going to some of the trash. If you're unfamiliar with the podcast known as Call Her Daddy, they you can almost call them like prodigies, almost in the sense of they have their first podcast after the first month of their first release. Barstool picks them up. They get to a year. They have a 3-year contract. They get through the first year. They renegotiate things.
I think we need to give like the full on details of like.
I am. I'm just giving a high level.
Yeah. Okay.
Just to start off. And we've been recently witnessing how this negotiation for this second, third year has been devolving into hot garbage. So, shout out to Kyle for kind of being our researcher analyst on this for sure. So let's break it down.
Of all the people on this podcast to actually research / analyze the Call Her Daddy podcast,
Yeah.
Kyle was not the one I expected this.
I would not. I wouldn't have put myself as the first one, but I think the thing is like when you start just reading the story, it's just like the initial story before like we really got any details. It's just kind of, obviously as people who are trying to make it in the podcast world, I think keeping up with what's going on with other podcasts is very important.
Oh yeah, it's like same concept as like finance.
Any other job, right? Like you got to know what's going on in your field.
Yeah.
But then the CEO of Barstool, Dave Portnoy, he when was this? This was a few days ago, right, Keaton? I forget exactly what day, but
So Alex had her video released on Sunday night.
yep.
Dave Portnoy released a podcast episode last week
hmm
regarding his side of the story.
And then Sophia did something not too
Sh-
long after that.
She went on, I believe, Instagram Live or posted a story, Instagram
Something
something,
for Instagram, yeah. Something for Instagram.
and posted her side of the story. So anyway, but the order was Prez, Sophia, Alex. So in that, and
Yeah,
now we have a official Call Her Daddy
yeah,
podcast coming out this Wednesday.
yeah. Which is yeah. Curious to see what that might be like. So I'm gonna give kind of the details from Dave's perspective because I think he has kind of the most detailed of it. And obviously I don't think we can really comment on who's exactly right and who's exactly wrong because
I mean,
I
I
think
think the stories are pretty similar outside of like some very
yeah, like
small key factors, like I
yeah, like
fucked over everyone or
for the
I didn't fuck over everyone.
yeah, like for the most part I agree with them, but to be fair, we'll say like obviously you can kind of everybody
Yeah.
has their own story, and
Yeah, like allegedly, essentially,
the
right?
truth
Like,
is probably somewhere in the middle of all of
Yeah.
these
Take it
all
with a
of these
grain of
things.
salt,
Yeah,
as the word says.
yeah, but and feel free to interject me.
what word are you talking about? You talking about the word of God or the word of Future Hendrix? I just need to know. Did he have that in the song?
The
I
new
think that would have
Bankhead
been
Church
song.
of beep.
Moving past that, feel free to interject at any point if there's like a comment you want to make or you feel like there's a good point to kind of stop and have like a
Don't offer me that.
conversation within a conversation.
Don't
I
offer
mean,
me
you're
that
gonna do it
opportunity.
anyway, so I might as well say it before you do it anyway, right? So anyway, according to Dave, this is from Dave's perspective. He contacted Alex because he had seen her, and they at this point it wasn't real. I don't. It wasn't like a full-fledged kind of podcast. It was just kind of like a IG kind of deal where they would post videos in a sense, I believe.
He slid
So
into her DMs.
basically, and he, talked to her about trying to, make it an official podcast and taking it to the next level. And so the initial contract, the biggest thing that they argued over was the IP, so the intellectual properties, which very big deal as any kind of content creator. A, it's everything in a lot of ways.
Yes.
So obviously Alex and Sophia didn't want to give that away, and Barstool was like, there's no reason for us to make this deal if we can't get it because
Yeah. We
if
want
you
this. This is the only thing we want.
because if you decide to bounce, we basically get nothing.
Yeah, we lose everything. Yeah.
And so understandable from a business perspective, like you want to have some kind of leverage, and having the IP is a very great source of leverage. So
Leverage is
eventually,
key in life.
yeah. So
I'm
eventually
dropping all those thoughts today. The key important life hacks
I see
coming
you.
at you live.
I see
Okay.
you.
I see you trying to redeem yourself from the last episode.
Exactly.
Your Future Hendrix quotes were not it.
They really
Just
weren't.
letting you know.
They really weren't.
Why are you hating? Come on now.
This podcast is called Shoot the Messenger. All we do is hate. Like, that's all we do.
Where we
Anyway,
get our strength from.
so anyway, they signed a 3-year contract. Alex and Sophia, salary starting at 70,000, and with the ability with bonuses. So obviously they can make extra money, and I think clearly none of them knew how big the podcast would get, and literally after 6 months, they were by far outperforming what they thought they were going to do. And so after 6 months, I think Alex comes to Dave to ask for a raise. And I think Sophia does as well. And so they both get a raise, but Alex gets a bigger one because in Dave's mind, she's doing most of the work She's the one doing all the editing for the podcast, and she's also the one doing the business, like talking business with Barstool about, you know, the business side, obviously. So, moving past that, by the end of the first year, Alex was making 500,000, and Tafia was making 450,000. Which, when you think,
Wah, wah, look at my tears coming off my face. Ah,
especially
fuck
when you think
off.
about, they started at 70,
5. Was it 75? 70,
70 or 75. I thought it was 70. It might be
Again,
75.
keep looking at my tears are falling off my fuck off.
But basically, put it, they were both making almost a half a mil by the
Literally
end of the
10%
first year.
difference between the two.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then they were up to a half a mil. So obviously the deal was going well for them. And from what I researched, it doesn't seem like Barstool is the type of company to not pay their content creators. I couldn't find much in the ways of like, oh, they screwed us
Yeah.
over, or they're not willing to pay. Like, they seem like, you know, the guys in charge are more than willing to, you know, rework contracts and pay people for performance, right?
Yeah.
And
Don't really
so,
know, but
yeah,
from what we
don't
do
really
know,
know because we don't know, but from what we could find out, that appears to be the case. And so, you know, after the first year, obviously the girls want to renegotiate, and you know, Barstool is willing to do that, and Dave is willing to do that, and so they have a talk, and like nothing really kind of gets done. I think Dave offers some things, and you know, it's you know, basic negotiations. Nothing really gets done, but you know, they have the talk, and so, you know, the girls go away, and I think Dave kind of figures, you know, okay, they'll come back, maybe they'll have something else. There might, you know, like negotiations will continue without much of an issue. And then I think, as he tells it, he gets an email from Alex and Sophia, but it's clearly not written by them. It's from a lawyer. And basically, they're, you know, according to like the lawyers, you know, like what they're asking for, they ask for 1 mil guaranteed. They want to be considered freelancers, not employees,
independent
which,
contractors.
yeah, very big difference. Very big difference. They want 50% of all the revenue. So merch, ads. I think they have like an alcohol sort of something
I don't know,
going
man.
on. I don't really know about that too much.
But they want
Um,
50.
they also want the ability to sell their own merch and do their own ads, and they want all of the IP, um, which, as I'm sure you could probably guess, Barstool said, nah.
Hell no.
You know that reminds me of like that meme with Bugs Bunny where it goes like, no.
Yeah, because like basically they asked for everything that they could possibly get and to leave Barstool with absolutely nothing. And
Here
so
is the world. We would like it. You can
basically,
live here in our world, even though you provide everything for us.
and so, you know, obviously Dave is like, yeah, fuck off.
Okay, to be fair, in the Sunday night YouTube, I don't know. Yeah, it was a YouTube thing that dropped.
Hmm.
Alex did say that they were hoping that based upon the information that they received from Suitman, this would be the beginning of a long stretch of negotiations to where it would start
Hmm.
here and they would
That answer.
finally meet in the middle. However, they came up with the most outrageous bullshit on the planet that Barstool just went, negotiate my ass.
Yeah,
Damn.
and
No.
and I'll say this, like, it's, I understand, like, as the content creators wanting all of that, like, I'm not, like, I don't blame them for wanting all of that. I'd probably blame them if they realistically thought they were going to get that. Like, I understand wanting all of that, but you're not going to get it. And I guess I understand, you know, you negotiate high and you hope to kind of come down into like a middle ground, right? And so this went on for like a little while. Dave didn't speak to either of the girls for, I think he said at least a month, if not longer. And eventually he had a meeting with both Sophia and Alex on at his condo. And I forget the exact details of what he offered. I want to say it was 500,000. Oh, yeah, I see it. Okay, here. Yeah, it was 500,000 guaranteed. It was
Plus the IP.
seven. I'm gonna get there. It was 7.5% of the merch. He would cut 6 months off of their contract length. So their contract was at 18 months at that point, I believe, and this would cut it down to about a year, maybe under a year, I believe. Basically, about a year. Um, Alex and Sophia would get the IP, and it would be split 50-50 between the two of them. And then the only thing Barstool would get after that would be to keep 80% of the alcohol. And to kind of just a quick summary of that, um, Barstool cut 6 months off of the deal, and Alex and Sophia get everything else. It's basically what he offered. And like it doesn't
Here is my head on a platter. Please help yourself.
like
And they said,
basically
do better.
And
Well, one of them said, do better.
And to continue the story, Alex wanted to take that deal. She was all for it. I think she figured this, rightly so, this is about the best we're going to get. But Sophia was not so aligned with that. And as we found out, there was a bit of a reason for that. A guy that the Twitterverse is taken to calling Suit Man. Peter Nelson, he's the head of HBO Sports.
Current vice president and head of HBO Sports.
Yes. And
Flaming douchebag.
from based off of the way Dave told it, like this guy is an absolute asshole.
Yeah.
It just
I don't anticipate myself applying for any jobs at HBO currently. So I'm just gonna go ahead and stick with my flaming asshole.
Yeah, and he's kind of almost kind of like the manager behind the scenes in a lot of ways, trying to mostly influencing Sophia.
Sophia started fucking him, and then he was like, "Yo, you're not getting paid enough. That's not industry standards. Like, you're not, you're not being rightfully given what you deserve. Let's try to negotiate. So let's start high and try to drop them low, and then let's bring in William Morris, and then let's see what we can kind of drag out in this, like make your podcasting life better." And it was like, I'm not even done with my first contract.
Yeah, and according to Dave, I forget the name of the agent that he mentioned. I forget the name, but apparently somebody gave Peter Nelson and his lawyer friends a contract that Barstool had with another podcaster, and they were trying to comb through it and find.
Well, I thought one of the girls shared it with them.
I don't think it was one of. I remember specifically he mentioned some kind of agent. I feel like I specifically remember him talking about some agent that he's never liked. He didn't call.
Ready? Flaming douchebag, part 2.
Yeah, like he didn't say. I don't think he ever specifically called like Peter Nelson like an asshole or anything. I'm pretty sure he said this dude was just like a straight up douchebag for sure. And so basically they were combing through this contract trying to find things like gender discrimination rules, for example.
Yes, yeah,
they were trying to find any way that they could
leverage
get out of the contract, as quick as possible. And so I think again, a little bit more time. I should mention that Dave believed that Peter Nelson had a deal in place with Wondery, which is another podcasting platform. He believed that Peter had a deal in place with them that I could get the girls off this contract, and as soon as we'll bring them over here, and and we'll do the podcast over there.
That was definitely my question when all this was happening. Well, just hearing all this was just like, I wonder if he had any interest in sabotaging their deal so that they would then go somewhere else. But anyway.
Oh, definitely.
I think the plan was I told these guys over at Wondery that I can get them. And so now I have to do whatever I can to get them.
I have to follow through. I get something out of this,
Yeah,
etc.
yeah. This is all from Dave's perspective. I don't. He's really. I think he's really the only one that kind of talked about it. I don't think the girls ever really go into too much detail.
Well, Alex had
Look,
like a 30-minute video. She kind of went into it a little bit.
Yeah,
So
I don't think I didn't see that, so I can't.
it's good. I think
Um.
it kind of gives her perspective. So,
Okay.
and really,
Uh,
she gives some really detailed information about kind of what
yeah.
happened. And she said a lot like, "Hey, I really want to salvage my career. I created this. Like, I was on unemployment checks. Like when this first started, I started making 500K. Then I realized, holy shit, I might get fucked. I need my career. I need my job. I need to keep this going."
Hmm.
You know, we had 1.3 million followers on Instagram. We dropped down to 1 million in the span of a couple of weeks. That's 300,000 people that unfollowed you.
Yeah, that's a lot. So
That's called bending over in jail at the wrong time. Like my girlfriend just looked at me
why?
like, "What the fuck?"
okay, Kyle, can
Why?
you continue with
I'm
your
gonna continue.
breakdown of
I'm gonna
things?
continue the story where I
Thank
left off.
you.
Jesus, Keaton. So anyway, a little
I
bit more
mean,
time.
I speak truth.
Keaton, shut up. Shut up.
No,
Just
no,
shut up.
no.
Shut up. Anyway, time passes, and so eventually Alex comes back to Dave by herself to negotiate a contract. Only difference is this time she decides that because she feels like, yeah, I am doing more of the work. I am doing the editing of the podcast. I'm the one doing a lot of the business side of it. She no longer wants a 50-50 split of the IP with Sophia. She wants a 75-25 split, which in some ways I understand. Like if I felt like I was doing most of the work, I would want more of,
I do
the
the exact same thing. Be
yeah,
like,
like
money bag, money bag, money
Yo,
bag.
I understand.
I get it, but if it's like working with family or friends and stuff like that. That's
Yeah.
sort of where it's like, yeah, I want 3 times the amount of my friend.
Yeah. That's
Friend,
the only
right?
it's like y'all supposed to be
Yes.
best friends and it's like, but
Hey,
yes.
it's like group projects, you know? Group projects, they always let you down. You try to get, but you still don't get enough credit for it.
Yeah. And so at some point Dave calls Sophia and he tells her, yeah, we're negotiating with Alex. She wants to do 75 and not 25. And obviously,
Get on board or
Sophia,
get lost.
yeah. And so I think Sophia initially wanted to accept the 50-50. Some more time passes and like eventually Sophia is like, okay, I'll do the original final deal that he offered, the 50-50 split with the IP and everything else. But Dave basically said, nah, you, that's no longer on the table for you. And something I should add
You playing checkers, we're playing chess.
is that he did offer to basically give each one of them their own podcast. He told Sophia that, you
Oh,
know what, if you don't want to do it with her, we'll give you your own platform. We'll produce it, and we'll let both of you do your own thing. Sophia again said no to that, I believe.
That's one of the few
yeah.
smart things she's done in this story.
L L L L L.
And so, which I kind of understand because we've never. I don't know if either one of them really works without the other one. Like, I
We'll
guess we'll
find out.
find out when Alex, is supposedly supposed to do. Is she supposed to have another co-host, or is she just supposed to be by herself? Really quick. Do
No
we
one
know?
knows. No one
We
knows.
don't know. So,
I'm
yeah, we
hoping
don't.
it's him and her and Prez
That
on the
would be
podcast. That'd be
that would
hilarious.
be funny. And so, um, and that's kind of where that story ends. Really, Sophia is suing both Barstool and Alex, I believe. I think Alex wants Barstool to defend her in the lawsuit, and
Yeah, I don't.
Barstool is
It hasn't
basically
really
trying to
happened yet.
say, like, fam, this is between y'all. Leave us out of it.
This is above me now. Yeah,
Listen,
exactly.
they just need to have a good street fight. You know, figure it out.
Yeah. And then
But no, they're gonna
obviously,
leave. They're gonna leave it to the suits.
yeah, and so obviously each girl has, given their own piece about what's happened. And like, of course, both of them are saying like this is the unadulterated full truth, which we both know they're all lying because None, none of y'all are telling the absolute truth. It's the truth as you view it.
Right.
And so it's just, I think one of maybe the biggest thing I came away with like all of this is that these are two random girls who never thought they would see big success, and then they got a ton of money, and they didn't understand how to the business side that came with making all of this money. Like they're terrible business, and like the way they do business is not great.
Here's the
Like,
thing, though. I will say this. Other than the fact, and again, us as a collective, right? If we ever go into a negotiation standpoint, I would hope we would have the sense to say, hey, let's all just agree on what we want as a
mm-hmm,
collective, and we'll negotiate that. That's
yeah,
from Alex's perspective. That's the only mistake I've really seen that she's made is that, hey, she did not align with Sophia on what their wants were, so that they could go in as one united force.
yeah, but this is a thing, right? They were aligned for a moment with the whole. We're just because I don't think I said this before, but like when they came in like after the year, they said we're not going to record unless you renegotiate our contract. It's not great business. Like you don't get to say we want this, we want because basically what they wanted to do was say we want to forget that we basically ever worked here. Like, we want everything that we gave you back, and we just want to leave. Like that's it's not good business practice.
It's not. I think it's not good when you think about maintaining relationships because it's a very fine line, right? Between I got to look out for me and let me not ruin relationships and screw people over on the way to the top and burn
And
bridges.
that's the thing. I don't think they quite understood the whole. We got to do what's best for ourselves, but let's not burn every bridge we crossed in order to get here.
Okay, I
And
agree
that's
with that.
where I get and that's where I say like they're bad business people. Like I don't, you know what I'm saying? Like they clearly were a bit out of their element, which understandable. Like again, like even Barstool didn't think they were going to get as big as they were. You really think like they thought they were going to get that big? And as I'm sure we all know, when somebody gets an influx of money, it changes a lot of things. And
money make the world go round.
yeah, and I just think, you know, I I'm with their plight as a content creator, like wanting most of your stuff to be in your possession, but there are better ways to go about it than what they tried to do. Like, I mean, if you go back to the final deal that Dave gave, like he couldn't have gave them a better deal. Barstool was basically going to walk away with just about nothing. And within a year, they could go on and do whatever they wanted. Like, who walks away from that?
You got to be careful. I mean, when you talk about who you got in your corner, who is helping you along the way. I don't know this suit man dude personally, so I'm not gonna speak on his character or whatever. But you gotta make sure like who are you pillow talking with, because that's essentially that played a huge role into this, right? Because I'm saying if we got paid $500,000 to just talk about random stuff, which hey, you trying to send that money, I don't mind, and we get our IP in a year.
Yeah, it was literally like I said. We'll cut 6 months off that deal. You got a year, and you get to walk away with everything, just about, except for the alcohol, which, if I'm being honest, is probably the thing they're making the least amount of money off of.
Yeah.
And so, um, it's just kind of like a lesson to be learned. You know, I
Stay
think
humble. Be
Keaton, we
humble.
kind of talked about this. You got to be careful when you're walking into these corporate places trying to negotiate and trying to like get better deals. Like you got to make sure you're able to withstand, whatever comes along with that.
In the words of Kendrick Lamar, bitch, be humble.
That's one way to phrase
Yeah,
that.
that's one way to say that.
I don't know. That's just like I definitely feel like from my perspective, bitch be humble is like a very accurate representation of like what you should be thinking about during this. Like don't ask for too much. Like and like honor your word. Like don't try
I,
to finesse yourself out of shit. Like
But here,
I don't know about the don't ask for too much because like even if you ask for too much and you know you're not gonna get it, like you want to come down from that. Like let people know this is where our mind is thinking, right?
you can do that, but you're gonna have to preface it. Hey, I'd like to start negotiating at X level. You can't just be like, "This is what I want, bitch. Deal with it." You know, or you're gonna get like you could get a horrible
Hmm.
response as they did. I mean, this
Yeah,
is
no, that's
this
true. That's very
this is
true.
just another sad example of bad negotiating tactics. If you want something, you don't get it. Go in with like a rock solid attitude, right? You have to present yourself as you're willing to give a little bit, even though if you don't want to give some, that's fine, right? But let them think you want to give a little bit because they're going to push, then you can pull, and then they're going to push, you can pull, and you can
Hmm.
try to kind of bring it over into your court, right? It's
Hmm.
just I don't know. It's just one of those issues where you see a young individual, and I mean we're all kind of the same age as them, so I mean I will take the liberty to say
we're all millennials.
Yeah, we're all
yeah,
millennials.
it's just one of those examples where you see people in front of you, such as prime example, Kylie Jenner, right? You see an example of someone who is a billionaire, young, successful woman dating a successful rapper, and you want to kind of have that lifestyle and you want to get to that success level, but you don't understand that. I think that to get to that level, you might have to take different steps than what they did, right? And that might
Hmm.
mean more time and more effort and more suffering and more bullshit. But like, yeah, go get a raise. Like, work harder. Like, edit more stuff. Like, do better. Take care of yourself. Like, ask for more money. Hey, ask. Hey, I really think I'd like my IP back. I think this is
Hmm.
something really important to me. Like, do you want to keep us after this next contract? We would like this amount of money and like all these different things after this is over. But at the same time, don't start fucking somebody and then have them tell you you deserve this. You know, you might deserve better, but at the same time, take it with a grain of salt and be smart about it and think for yourself. Think for yourself.
But you know what? Here's the thing. I think it's so early in the process to say what's going to happen afterwards. Maybe Sophia does her own thing and it pops off, and she is more valuable
Oh
as an
yeah,
independent talent than
Yeah,
we
no, that's
perceive
true.
her to be.
That's true.
I can always
Um,
eat my words. It happens a lot. Like I'm okay with that.
but it's about betting on yourself, and I think because I too felt a little hesitant when you said, "Oh, be humble, don't do too much, this, that, and the fourth," because I've seen like family members negotiate, and I can tell you, my uncle, he gets comfortable when he negotiates. he doesn't he doesn't look like he's willing to give anything. But if you negotiate whatever, you might get to.
Yeah,
And every negotiation requires a different set of negotiation tactics, this, that,
Yeah,
and the fourth. So
and
that's fair.
I
yeah,
don't hate
no,
him for that at all. Like,
no.
yo, get your coin, finesse, do what you got to do.
I think their biggest mistake is probably two things. Is one, doing it as early as they did, because it was a year into a 3-year contract. Um, like even if you do deserve whatever it is you want, like Barstool has more leverage because they have you under contract. Like period, point blank. Like that's just it is what it is. Not to
It is what it is.
yeah, yeah, like they have you under contract, so they're always going to have more leverage than you because you're legally obligated to that contract. And from what we know, there is no loopholes in that for them to get out of, right? And
Yeah, but
and
I go ahead.
and I think the other mistake they have is in some ways not kind of knowing how Barstool operates and how they take care of their other content creators. Because again, from what we know, Barstool takes care of their content creators. And like obviously I understand, always wanting more, right? Like the disease of more, like, right? Like I understand all wanting to have more for yourself and wanting to have everything be owned by you. But Barstool has a track record of taking care of their podcasters or content creators. And I think to go in as early as they did to make the demands that they did is a bit too early in the a bit too early. Like, I think they played that card a bit too early.
But here's why I disagree with you on that, right? They came with these ridiculous terms and conditions. And at first I was like, nah. And then, all right, $500K for each of you, IP and various incentives. So they did get to a dramatic increase in what they were going to get based off of the tactics, albeit not the most sophisticated or subtle that they used.
That's fair. That's fair.
So, I mean, it's not terrible. It's not the best thing. It's not the most tactful way to handle it, right? But they did get a dramatic increase. If Sophia decides, hey, I'm going to come back to the show.
Yeah, their other biggest mistake was I don't think their relationship was obviously not quite as close-knit as maybe as they thought, or through the eyes of one of them. Like, they had two different viewpoints of where their relationship, or how their relationship and how the business would affect that, or what they would allow the business to do to that relationship. I think they had different kind of viewpoints as to how that would go, if that makes sense.
Yeah. I think, but I also will say they also have the currency of having individual followers themselves, and they can do their own platforms, do their own things.
Yeah, but again, it goes back to that point. We don't know if they're capable of carrying a podcast on their own.
True.
He put the team on his back, though.
It's a gamble, and they may turn out to be both perfectly fine without the other one. Like, that may be how it works out, but we don't know that. The only thing we know for certain is that both of them together works really well.
Yeah.
We don't know anything about either one of them by themselves.
Yeah, we're about to figure out if they're about to. It's sort of like Ray Shrimmer a little bit, in the sense of, like, there was a point where Ray Shrimmer were a group, and then they tried to do individual stuff, and then you kind of find out, like, as individuals, you guys are not as interesting, but together you all are really good.
Yeah.
Right? You're entertaining. And I think that's what we're about to find out. We're about to find out if one person is the Michael Jordan of the team, or we're about to figure out if one of them's the Kyrie Irving, where they're like, I could do my own thing, and they try to do their own thing, and it just, like, falls apart. But, we're about to find out exactly if they're able to sustain and everything. And Sophia being the one that leaves is probably the most interesting thing, because she's the one that's been doing the least amount of work this whole time.
Yeah, no. And for what it's worth, I would personally hope that both of them could kind of get past their differences and continue to do it. Not like just on some real, like on the real. Like, according to y'all were best friends before you started doing this. Y'all should be best friends during it, and you should be best friends long after it all happens. At least in terms, like, a moral code, for instance, like, right? Like, I would never do that to either one of y'all, right? Like,
for sure.
Regardless of whatever happens with this podcast, we were friends before, we're friends during, and we'll be friends after.
Yeah.
Like, just moral code of ethics. And again, not everybody follows that, right? Like, that's not
really. They don't.
Clearly, don't? Yeah.
To say the least.
Damn, I didn't know that. Fuck.
Not everybody follows that, but I would hope that being best friends, even with all of, like, the business that's coming with this, I would hope
means something.
That means something. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I would hope that actually means something, regardless of whether I like their content or not, because I don't. But
aside from it being juicy and hot garbage, it's pretty sad. Honestly, I mean, it's depressing, to say the least. That
I mean,
this kind of thing happened.
Yeah, you put money in the mix and people act different.
Oh,
especially $500,000 though. Like,
especially $500,000. I ain't gonna lie though. If I got $500,000 to do my own podcast, I might leave y'all too. I ain't gonna lie.
Okay. All right. Honestly, I would tell you to leave,
Yeah.
and then I would say,
Can you take me with you?
can you, no, I wouldn't even say that. I'd just be like, hey, can you just like, you want to go to like vacation or something? If you want to pay for it, like just
Like, hey,
help me out a little bit.
let me hold something.
Let me hold some. Yeah, for sure, for sure.
But nah,
No,
man,
It's like
Yeah.
that. It's like that. Would you shoot your best friend in the leg for like $1 million and be like, all right, stand right there and
fam,
don't move?
for $1 million, I might tell you to shoot me in the leg.
that's all fair. But honestly, it's interesting. You really figure out how your friendship works when stuff like this happens, right?
Yeah, nah, for sure.
Because I mean, I'm not mad at how this ended, just because Sophia did what it seems, as with the information we have available to us. Sophia seemed to do what she thought was right. Alex seemed to do what she thought was right. And like you said, hopefully behind the scenes, they're like, listen, regardless of how this all goes, we're still cool, we're still friends. Let's go get a hot mocha spice with extra pumpkin syrup latte at
Pumpkin
Starbucks
spice
once it
latte.
opens back up.
Yeah. As a
All
matter
my
of
girls
fact,
do
tell
yoga.
Sophia, dye your hair blonde too. We could be like sisters for real.
What?
I'm out.
What's
I'm out.
happening?
I'm
out.
kidding.
And
And
Yeah, exactly.
like close the laptop.
Yeah. And that's the pod. Man, we're really good at these transitions. Not like Magic Johnson at all. Just like we just keep throwing the ball out of bounds. It's like, all right, I guess the game has to keep going.
that transition. I thought
Shout out to J.R. Smith.
Wish. That's unfortunate. So yeah, we
The
talked
Henny
about
gods have struck again.
the Henny God, but he's never had Hennessy. Wink, wink.
Don't believe that for a second.
So we talked about Russell Wilson and Future, and how Future super fans apparently think it's a sin to be a great father.
Shout out to all the good fathers out there.
And matter of
doing
fact,
your thing.
what I want to tell all the good fathers is, don't do it.
Just don't be a good father.
Don't be a good father. You gain nothing from it.
That's true. Think
That
about
didn't
it.
go the okay. All right.
That's
Let's
a
be
joke.
honest.
That's a joke for anybody.
Exactly.
Do you
Let's
think
keep-
LeBron James would be great if his dad was around? Exactly. That's a joke. Moving on.
Oh my God.
Curry looking like Aisha Curry looking like a snack on social media. Doja Cat likes to hang out online with white supremacists.
Yikes.
We had the Snyder Cut. It's coming. Ladies and gentlemen and gender non-specifying individuals, it's about to be here. And Keaton's very excited. Kyle is not. I'm somewhere in the middle. Number 5, Joe Budden. Apparently, if you are not for certain that you're going to vote for him, you just ain't black.
Joe Biden.
Joe Biden.
Biden. Oh my God. What is wrong with me?
What would you vote for Joe Budden for? Would you vote Joe for president?
Any political office, mayor, senator, state rep.
Maybe I would vote him as maybe like a congressional person in Jersey.
I'd vote Joe Budden for president.
Ladies and gentlemen, and all non-gender specifying individuals, Joe Budden is not running for shit.
And you know what his slogan would be, right?
Huh?
You know what his slogan would be, right?
What would it be?
Nope.
Can I be your dad?
No. Absolutely no. No.
Can I be everybody's dad?
No.
I'm just imagining him on one of those posters, like with his hands
white
at his
beater
waist,
and his
looking
white
up into
beater.
the distance in a white beater, and it just says, "Can I be your dad?" Budden 2021. So I apologize. I'm going to get it right eventually. I promise. Joe Biden apparently says, if you don't vote for him, you ain't black.
Uncle
and then
Joe.
we jumped into a lot of meta podcast stuff. Yeah, Uncle Joe does not hit right.
No, it really does.
I think Grandpa Joe is a little bit better.
No.
It embodies the kookiness a little bit.
Listen, uncles are also kooky. It just don't hit right for
me.
Yeah, just call
it depends
family.
on. Yeah, it just depends on the uncle.
Yeah, no.
All right, never mind.
Well,
point taken.
Next, when we have a Thanksgiving episode, maybe we'll get into that. And then Joe Rogan and his amazing deal, which is probably an underestimate, but $100 million deal with Spotify.
I guarantee you it's over. I guarantee you it's over.
Congrats to you for some, podcast excellence.
Let us
And-
hold something.
Let us, for real. You know where we are. Spotify, Apple Music, and Buzzsprout. And finally,
YouTube.
And YouTube.
And YouTube. Exactly.
The tube of you.
And call her daddy and that whole debacle that's been happening. I wish them the best of luck. That's the pod for KQK Presents Shoot the Messenger. We'll see you all next time.
Deuces.
Bye.